Um, let's talk about Tim Sweeney, man. Let's talk about Tim Sweeney, guys. So Tim Sweeney believes himself to be the Jesus of video games. Yes, I'm not kidding. Okay, maybe I'm kidding a little bit, but no, seriously. He views himself, or at least his company, to be the savior for the AAA gaming industry. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Sweetie Boy thinks to himself that Epic Games is going to be the savior of the AAA gaming industry. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. We got to talk about it. We got to see what exactly is being said, okay? Because I think this is pretty damn hilarious, right? But, you know, we might agree with some of the things he said. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he says. So, Epic Games just doesn't operate Fortnite, Rocket League, and PC gaming storefront. It's also the caretaker of Unreal Engine, which we already know that. A set of tools powering everything from The Witcher 4 to the next Halo. You know, I don't quite understand. Okay, maybe I do. I don't, and I do. I'll say I don't quite understand why we have an over-reliance on Unreal Engine. I feel like a lot of studios should invest more in their own proprietary engines, because the studios that have invested in their own proprietary engines have managed to have engines that can create video games that look substantially, I should say not look substantially better, but look as good as Unreal Engine video games and also run better. But hey, it is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, it comes down to money. It comes down to time, and a lot of studios don't want to invest the money or the time to make their own engines, even though the payoff is technically better in the long run. They just don't want to do it. They rather license out Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal Engine 6, whatever's coming out now. They rather just do that. But anyway, so I get that. I just wish they would do it more. But anyway, so CEO Tim Sweeney spent his time on stage during Unreal Fest 2026 this week in Chicago, pitching Unreal Engine 6 as the alternative to a gaming ecosystem dominated by closed platforms like Roblox. You know what's crazy to me? What's crazy to me is that Tim Sweeney can pitch this whole thing about like being a savior for the AAA gaming industry and how he can be like this, you know, big alternative. But the crazy thing is, Sweeney, is that he had all the money, he had all the time, and he had all the resources to create an alternative to Steam, and he chose not to do it. He chose not to do it. So it's like, if you won't even compete with a storefront, why would I think or look to you as an alternative to something like Roblox or anything else like it? Like, why would I think that you would be in there for the long haul to do something like that when you had one job? You had one job, and that was to compete with Steam, and you did not even want to do that. You know, I don't see it personally. But anyway, Sweetie said traditional AAA gaming is facing a time of both crisis and opportunity as the old ways of doing things fail. But is it really though? Is it really though? Like, is the old ways of doing things failing? I don't think the old ways of doing things is failing at all. I think what's happening is that the AAA industry decided that they wanted to do a new way of doing things, and that's what's failing. That's what's failing, in my opinion. Because the old way of doing things, we see that succeed continuously over and over and over again. And sometimes it's not even the AAA, it's not even just the AAA industry that you see that from. We see it from the indie scene all the time. What do you think the indie developers are doing? The indie developers are relying on old school tactics to make their video games with some new technology that helps them speed up the process. But overall, I mean, it's real simple. Sometimes you got to go back to the basics, right? And I feel like the AAA industry is doing anything but going back to the basics. Anyway, so they said we're seeing often hundreds of millions of dollars of dev costs, followed by tens of millions of dollars of revenue. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot. Gee, I wonder why. Why are we seeing that? Why are we seeing hundreds of millions of dollars in development costs, followed up with tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Why? Why are we seeing that? Gee, I don't know. I'm a little stumped on that. The dev costs are continuing to grow. It feels too many like a tidal wave is sweeping over the AAA game business. Despite laying off 1,000 of his own employees, by the way, that's what makes it even funnier, right? Because this guy is trying to be like, yeah, we're gonna be the alternative. We're gonna provide you a means to be able to do this and to compete with places like Roblox. Meanwhile, this is the same guy that told everybody that the way that they are running Fortnite right now is unsustainable, and they don't have the money to run Fortnite this way. So they had to fire 1,000 of his own employees in order to be able to have the money to continue supporting Fortnite. And then not only on top of that, he fired 1,000 of his employees, and then he also raised the price of V-Bucks. So you made the game more expensive to take part in terms of monetization, and then you also fired your employees, 1,000 of them. It's not like you fired 10, 20, 50, 100. You fired 1,000 people. It's crazy, bro. Anyway, Sweetie claimed that Fortnite is thriving again. Yeah, it's thriving again. Yeah, it's thriving not because the game got better. It's not thriving because the game is suddenly amazing and everybody's playing it. It's thriving because you removed 1,000 employees' payrolls, which is a lot of fucking money. So that's why it's thriving. What the fuck? Bro, these CEOs, man, the way that they fucking like, the way that they talk about these things and the way that they showcase these things drives me crazy. Because it's like, dude, you know, bro, you know that it's not thriving because the game suddenly got better or the game suddenly provides a better experience. Like, that's not the case at all. Fortnite's the same fucking thing that it's always been. Unbelievable, bro. And games like it are positioned to dominate in a marketplace where newer players place a premium on socializing together. It's so funny that he says this. It's so funny that Tim Sweeney is the guy that's saying that newer players are placing a premium on socializing together. This is the guy who didn't want to spend money on his own storefront to add socialization features because he thought they were pointless. He thought they were pointless. He thought they were just, it wasn't even worth it. That is so funny to me. The other big change is the economy is shifting from buying games to things in games. What? He added, whether you're a fan or not, it's undeniable. The final threat to conventional models around gaming, according to the executive, is the ever more competitive war for attention. Roblox is winning that war. Sweetie thinks other game makers need to embrace Unreal Engine to survive that onslaught. Bro, this man is saying that people don't want to buy video games and they rather buy things inside of video games. So you're trying to say that they rather buy microtransactions? Of course you believe that, because your top video game is a free-to-play video game that relies solely on microtransactions. So of course it's going to be skewed in that manner for your own experience, bro. But that doesn't mean that other people, bro. This guy, I honestly, I think it's really impressive. I think it's really impressive the way that he goes about this shit. There's two big predictions for the future. Oh, yeah, his predictions are really good, by the way. Really good. These two predictions for the future are as these problems reverberate throughout the industry. Sweetie said on stage, one view of the future is that Roblox grows and eats gaming. Another, wait, what? Roblox grows and eats gaming. What? What? A lot of people are saying this online. You know, what you have there is a centralized platform with a gamekeeper that takes more than 70% of the revenue. It has 450 million users on board. So that's a real challenge to game developers. So what do you think? Everybody's going to start playing Roblox, bro? Is that what you think? You think everybody's going to start playing fucking Roblox? They're just going to take over the world? Yes, there's a lot of people playing Roblox, but most of them are fucking kids or people that are trying to go after kids. That's who's playing Roblox, bro. What are we talking about? He continued, but we believe in a very different future, a much brighter one for the people in the room. That is a future of high-quality gaming, rising to the challenge and linking up our content, linking up our communities, and linking up our economies to deliver fun and to serve gamers with great games in a way that we've never done before. Guys, why is this man talking about delivering content and delivering communities and linking all that together when on his own storefront, he didn't want to do any of that? How exactly does this make sense? Does anybody like have a clue as to what this man is on? What kind of fucking drugs this man is on? Because you literally said that you didn't want to do any of that for your storefront, and now we're supposed to believe that you suddenly care about linking content and communities together. That doesn't make any sense, bro. You're not even doing what you preach. But anyway, to accomplish that, we all need to change the way that we build games. Oh, here we go. Build better games more efficiently and build for connected games where all players are connected and economies are connected. So players, instead of seeing these as isolated products, see them as part of a global ecosystem that all game developers participate in together. So do you want all video games to be tied together? How are you even going to do that? How is that even possible? You know we want to work with all of you and we want all game developers to achieve this together. The thing with Unreal Engine 6 is our technological foundation for it, and we believe this is a big challenge that we all have to rise to. We need to win the competition for players. I'm not only against other games, but also against YouTube, TikTok, and everything else that people are doing online. This was very much on our minds when we set about building Unreal Engine 6. Wait, so, I'm not surprised he said this, that he's against YouTube, TikTok, and all that stuff. I'm not surprised at all whatsoever. So this man wants to take away all the attention from other platforms like Roblox, YouTube, TikTok, and do what with it exactly? Do what? Are you going to turn Unreal Engine 6 into a platform? Are you going to turn Unreal Engine 6 into something that gamers will utilize for their information, for their viewership, or like how exactly? What the fuck are we talking about? So you want everything under one umbrella? Is that what I'm understanding? How exactly is that? This is why he gets felted. This is why he loses to Steam. This man wants everything under one umbrella, and that is why he is always going to lose. Competition cannot thrive when everything is under one umbrella, and you had the opportunity to compete with Steam, and you chose not to, and this is why you lose. When you want everything under one platform, that just tells me that you want everything to benefit you. That's really what it is. That's why I say God bless GOG, man. Even though I don't use GOG personally, I'm happy that GOG exists because it's doing something that Steam isn't doing, right? And I feel like when they offer something different, that's great because that forces Steam to have to compete. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a good thing. Just because I don't use the platform doesn't mean that I don't want to see people compete with the platform I use. I think that's great. That should happen more. But he wants everything to be under Unreal. That's what he wants. He wants everything to be under his umbrella. This guy's fucking losing it, bro. This guy is absolutely losing it. This is why you realize this is why he's so angry at Gabe. He's angry at Gabe because he believes that Gabe has everything under his umbrella. He thinks that Gabe has everything under his control. And he wants to be like Gabe. It's so sad. Sweeney has been talking about a version of this global ecosystem. This is very fucking like New World Order shit for a few years now. Previously, it was tethered more closely to a vision for interoperable, I can't say that word, metaverse. The Epic co-founder is laying out a more subtle vision for collaboration and cooperation between big companies that rely on Unreal Engine to make their games. Unfortunately, this new framework is also married to an influx of new generative AI integrations in the upcoming version of Unreal Engine. Some notable developers are already reevaluating collaboration with Epic over the controversial text inclusion. No, they're not. No, they're not. If you're thinking about utilizing Unreal Engine, it's because you don't want to do your own engine and you want to use the thing everybody else is using. You're not gonna abandon Unreal Engine because it uses generative AI. Get the fuck out of here. It's so stupid. Yeah, he wants a monopoly. That's really what it is. He wants to be Gabe. That's what it is. Like, again, I don't know how much more simple I can make it. This man wants to be Gabe Newell. He wants to be him. But every time he tries to be him and he tries to figure out ways to defeat Gabe, he always ends up losing. So he can't ever be him. It's so ridiculous, bro. Why don't you just focus on your fucking platform? Why don't you focus on making Epic Store something that people actually want to use every day? But you don't. All you are is the hooker of the PC gaming world. That's all you are. People go to you. Actually, you're not even a hooker because you're giving it away for free. You're the whore of the PC gaming world. You spread your legs willingly every week so that people can use you to download free games and then never see you again, or see you next week when they want a free fucking hit. Like, that's what they are. At least with hookers, you gotta pay something. These motherfuckers are giving it for free. And then instead of trying to say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be doing that because we're wasting over $700 million a year on it, they're like, you know what? Nah, we'll just fire 1,000 employees. We'll make it up that way. Bro, what the fuck, man? He can't focus on Epic Store because he wants to start at the end and control Steam. He wants to be Steam without putting in the work and the evolution that Steam did. Okay? For any of you guys that are in the chat right now or watching this segment on Hypnotic Gaming Live, you can comment if this applies to you, but it applies to me, all right? I was there at the dawn, right? I was there at the dawn, okay? I was there at the beginning of Steam, fairly close to the beginning of Steam. Like, I was there. I remember when there was only a couple of games on there, all right? I remember when Steam was only there in order to allow Valve to update their own video games easier. I remember seeing that nasty-ass military green, like, UI system that they had. I remember all that shit, okay? So to see Steam back in the day be that and then turn into what it is now, I've seen all of that evolution. I've seen it all happen before my eyes. I've seen the storefront become something that it is today, like all of that, right? I remember all of that. This motherfucker doesn't want to go through that. He doesn't want to go through that. He wants it to be a thing where he will be able to just flat out skip all of that evolution and go straight into like Steam as it is now. But you can't do that. You literally can't do that. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. He doesn't even want to do that. He's flat out said so. I don't know, man. This is crazy shit. It really is. But in any case, Steam was always the DRM. If you believe easy to update games, Tail, you are lost. When did I say it wasn't a DRM? Wait, hold on. So it's only one or the other? Is that what you're saying? So basically, like, so you can, hold on, wait, I'm confused. So having Steam, making Steam, are they not able to make it a DRM, but also make it because it does allow them to update and keep track and do things to their games easier than it was back before Steam? Can both things not be true, or can only one thing be true? How does that work? Hypno remembers Sparks becoming the first flame. Bro, it's like a fucking Dark Souls story. Steam is not a good thing. I always hated Steam. They're the reason we lost physical media on PC. I gotta be real with you. Physical media going away on PC, I do not like that. I've never liked that. It's one of those things that unfortunately became a reality very quickly, coupled with the fact that the removal of like DVD drives, Blu-ray drives from most standard computers, like they started getting rid of that. But I mean, if you look at history and you notice how we went from floppy disks to fucking CD drives and DVD drives and stuff like that, it becomes a thing where it's like you look back and you notice like it's not just Steam as to the reason why that happened. Obviously, they played a big part in that, because when developers figured out that they can put their video games on a storefront digitally, they obviously were more interested in doing that, especially from a logistical standpoint. They were more interested in doing that. And unfortunately, it did become a situation where physical media did die on PC, but I think that was inevitable. I really do. I think it was inevitable all throughout, like, and honestly, I'm a little surprised that it took this long for it to happen to consoles, but consoles held on to physical media for a while. But unfortunately now it is dying off. But no, I don't hate Steam. It's okay if you do. But again, just to reiterate, you didn't answer my first question. Can those two things not be true at the same time? Because you say I'm lost if I believe one, but meanwhile I never said that the other can exist. So, like, can the two things not be true at the same time? First Battle Pass was from Valve. Again, Steam has definitely invented, or at least been the what's the word I'm looking for? Patient zero when it comes to monetization practices. They're usually coined as being one of the first ones to invent loot boxes, or at least what you would call loot boxes today. EA is the one that coined the surprise mechanics. remember, remember the surprise mechanics nonsense. Um, that was interesting. But yeah, I don't think the battle pass thing was from Valve, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Asian markets that really came up with that first. But if you want to say Valve was the one that turned it popular, I mean, we could definitely say that for sure, you know? But again, in any case, for me, it's like I never hated Steam. I always liked Steam personally. Um, and in terms of physical media, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I honestly believe that it was going to die no matter what on PC, specifically PC, no matter what. But it's unfortunate. So because I remember being able to, bro. Oh my god, I remember waiting in line for like the World of Warcraft collector boxes. Remember those, bro? Oh my god, remember like the WoW. I mean that has nothing to do with Steam, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, remember the World of Warcraft fucking collectors boxes, bro? They were insane. God, I miss those things, bro. It was so good. So good. Or even like what was another one I had? I'm trying to think back, like old. I think I had Mafia. Was it the first Mafia? I think I had the first Mafia on PC physically, but I don't remember off the top of my head. It might have been the first Mafia. Um I had the Matrix Online. I had that. I had that physically. I still remember that box, you know? Um what else was it? I had a few of those, but in any case, doesn't matter. So when it comes to Tim Sweeney, all I'm saying is that I don't believe that he is going to be able to do all these things he's saying. When he had the opportunity to compete against Steam and provide an alternative to this platform, he chose not to. And he chose not to when he had all the money and all the resources. Now he has less money because he had to fire 1,000 people to make up the money. He has less money and less resources. And now he wants to become like the global platform, or like the go-to platform for the world. I don't see it. I don't see how it's going to happen. I think these are what you call illusions of grandeur. I really think that's what it's called. And I think he is constantly fucking suffering from this. He really is. He's constantly suffering from illusions of grandeur. And half of it is because he cannot get Gabe out of the fucking mind of his. He cannot, like, Gabe occupies probably more than half of Tim Sweeney's mind at any moment. I can only imagine how he feels right now with the announcement that Gabe bought like a $70 million mansion or something. I can only imagine. He's probably losing his shit. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, exactly. His golden goose Fortnite is dying. See, he relied, and I said this before. I actually said this many times. He relied so much on Fortnite because Fortnite was just printing money nonstop. But nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Just like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft at one point was fucking printing money. It was insane how successful that game was. Now it's a shell of its former self. Fortnite is not quite at that level yet. It still makes a lot of money, but that's just, it's not going to last forever, you know? He's just completely blowing that money. And unfortunately, he's not doing the things that he should have been doing to allow Epic to be able to stand out as a true platform on the PC platform. If that makes sense. Yeah, he has Gabe derangement syndrome. Absolutely. So anyway, that's basically it with good old Tim Sweetie Boy.